On November 19, 2026, Grand Theft Auto 6 will launch in the state of Leonida. This is Rockstar's modern interpretation of Florida and the iconic neon streets of Vice City. The simulation is roughly twice the size of its predecessor. It features 5 counties and includes over 700 enterable structures, ranging from fully explorable shopping malls to high-rise skyscrapers. Rockstar is utilizing a digital-only distribution model for this release. There is no physical disc in the box, and the Ultimate Edition is priced at $100. This level of control over pricing and distribution places the release at the summit of modern media. By removing the physical middleman, Rockstar no longer answers to the retail gatekeepers that once dictated the terms of their success. But this armor took 20 years to build. In 2004, the launch of San Andreas was met with similar hype, yet was far more vulnerable. In 2005, PC modders discovered a hidden feature called the Hot Coffee mod. It was a buried, interactive minigame that allowed players to access sexually explicit content that the developers had intended to keep unplayable. The turning point was clear. A few lines of dormant code gave regulators and retailers the leverage they needed to halt the sales of the most popular game in the world. The discovery allowed players to use button prompts to simulate CJ's intimate movements with his girlfriend. Once the mod was released for the PC port, it didn't take long for it to spread to consoles. Rockstar's first response was to blame hackers. They claimed the content didn't exist in the retail version, and that third parties had altered the game's source code to insert the scenes. Investigators quickly disproved that claim. They demonstrated that the code was already burned onto the physical retail discs, sitting in millions of homes. Being caught in a direct lie shifted the narrative. What began as a debate over game content became a question of corporate transparency, putting Rockstar in a defensive position against a gathering political storm. The consequences were immediate. The ESRB stripped the game of its mature rating and replaced it with an adults-only tag, making San Andreas the only title in the franchise to receive the designation. In a world dominated by physical media, an adults-only rating was a death sentence for sales. Major retail chains refused to stock the game, pulling it from shelves across the country. The financial damage was substantial. Take-Two Interactive faced roughly $20 million in legal fees, settlements, and the massive cost of recalling and reprinting censored versions of the game. The pressure escalated to the federal level. The FTC launched an investigation into Rockstar's marketing, while figures like Hillary Clinton championed the Family Entertainment Protection Act to give the government more power over game ratings. To survive, the company had to censor its own work. Rockstar issued a sanitized re-release just to get back onto store shelves, marking a total corporate surrender to external pressure. The scandal led the ESRB to implement much stricter disclosure policies. Developers now face heavy fines if they fail to report any explicit content buried within their game files, regardless of whether it's accessible. Rockstar's response over the following decades was to replace hidden variables with obsessive, intentional detail. Every asset in a modern Rockstar game is now tracked with extreme precision. GTA 6 features over 200 vehicles, each with interactive pedals, fully functioning speedometers, and real-time mirror reflections that accurately display the world behind the player. This data tracking extends to the environment itself, where complex AI systems govern the movement of wildlife across the state. Managing these systems requires a map of massive scale, encompassing the diverse wetlands of the Grass Rivers and the open expanses of the Leonida Keys. Surviving the vulnerability of the hot coffee era pushed Rockstar to build a development culture that leaves nothing to chance. Every line of code is now a deliberate part of the final experience. The contrast is stark. In 2005, Rockstar's fate rested on their ability to move physical plastic discs into physical stores. In 2026, they have bypassed that system entirely. A digital-only release for GTA 6 means there is no retail choke point. The company can no longer be silenced by a store chain refusing to stock their product. By decoupling the primary game into a dedicated single-player release, Rockstar provides a buffer for its core narrative. It allows the main story to be judged and rated as a finished work, independent of the evolving regulatory challenges that face live service online platforms. The hot coffee scandal was a costly lesson in vulnerability, but by absorbing those hits, Rockstar built a business model that is now essentially insulated from the critics and gatekeepers that once threatened its existence.